Welcome to the Anatomy of Crime ultimate destination for unraveling the mysteries of the dark side of human history. Here, we dive deep into chilling true crime stories, unsolved mysteries, and the psychology behind infamous criminals. If you're fascinated by crime and justice or enjoy exploring the unknown, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's uncover the truth, one case at a time. The sun hung high over the Arizona desert, casting golden rays across the sprawling city of Phoenix. The air was warm, the sky a flawless blue, and the scent of blooming desert flowers carried on the breeze. It was a day that seemed perfect, a day that promised new beginnings. But beneath the surface of this idyllic setting, a storm was brewing, a storm of love, betrayal, and vengeance that would leave a trail of blood and shattered lives in its wake. This is the story of Tasha Williams, a woman whose heart was as vast as the desert sky, and Jordan Carter, the man who vowed to love her forever. It's the story of Danielle Williams, Tasha's fiery and beautiful sister, and Keisha Brown, the loyal best friend who stood by Tasha through thick and thin. It's a story of love that turned to lies, of trust that crumbled into dust, and of a betrayal so deep that it could only end in tragedy. From the moment Tasha and Jordan said "I do" under the blazing Arizona sunset, their lives seemed destined for happiness. But behind the smiles and the celebrations, secrets lurked. Secrets that would unravel the fabric of their lives and plunge them into a nightmare none of them could have imagined. This is not just a story of love gone wrong. It's a story of how the brightest flames can burn the hottest, consuming everything in their path. It's a story of how betrayal can twist the soul, turning love into hate, and how the pursuit of justice can sometimes lead to destruction. As the sun sets over Phoenix, casting long shadows across the desert, we invite you to step into a world where love and loyalty are tested, where trust is shattered, and where the line between right and wrong blurs into oblivion. It was a sunny afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming desert flowers. The community was buzzing with excitement as they prepared for the wedding of the year. The bride, 28-year-old Tasha Williams, was a radiant beauty with a heart of gold. She was known for her infectious laughter and her ability to light up any room she walked into. Her groom, Jordan Carter, was a handsome and charismatic man, admired by many for his charm and ambition. He was a successful real estate agent, and everyone believed he was the perfect match for Tasha. Tasha's younger sister, Danielle Williams, was her maid of honor. Danielle, 25, was strikingly beautiful, with a fiery personality that often drew attention wherever she went. She had always been close to Tasha, and the two sisters shared an unbreakable bond. Tasha's best friend since childhood, Keisha Brown, was also part of the wedding party. Keisha was the kind of friend who would drop everything to be there for Tasha, and their friendship was the envy of many. The wedding was a dream come true. The ceremony took place in a beautiful garden, with the Arizona sunset painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Tasha looked stunning in her lace gown, and Jordan couldn't take his eyes off her. As they exchanged vows, there wasn't a dry eye in the crowd. It seemed like the beginning of a fairy tale. After the wedding, Tasha and Jordan went on a luxurious honeymoon to Hawaii. They spent their days exploring the island, swimming in the crystal-clear waters, and enjoying romantic dinners under the stars. Tasha was on cloud nine, and Jordan seemed to be the perfect husband. He was attentive, loving, and everything Tasha had ever dreamed of. When they returned to Phoenix, they moved into their new home, a beautiful house in a quiet neighborhood. Tasha was excited to start this new chapter of her life. She had always wanted a family, and she couldn't wait to build a future with Jordan. But as the weeks went by, Tasha began to notice small changes in Jordan. He started coming home late from work, and when she asked him about it, he would brush it off, saying he had meetings or clients to attend to. Tasha tried not to overthink it, but something felt off. One evening, Tasha was cleaning the house when she found a receipt in Jordan's jacket pocket. It was from a fancy restaurant downtown, dated a few days ago. Tasha frowned. Jordan had told her he was working late that night. She tried to push the thought out of her mind, but the seed of doubt had been planted. A few days later, Tasha's sister Danielle came over for dinner. As they sat in the kitchen, chatting and laughing, Tasha noticed that Jordan seemed distracted. He kept checking his phone, and when Tasha asked him about it, he quickly put it away, saying it was just work. After dinner, Danielle offered to help Tasha with the dishes while Jordan went to watch TV. As they stood at the sink, Danielle casually mentioned that she had run into Jordan a few days ago at the mall. Tasha's heart skipped a beat. Jordan had told her he was at work that day. "Oh, really?" Tasha asked, trying to sound casual. "What were you guys doing at the mall?" Danielle shrugged. "He said he was picking up something for you. A surprise, I think." Tasha forced a smile, but inside she felt a knot forming in her stomach. Why would Jordan lie to her about being at work? Over the next few weeks, Tasha's suspicions grew. Jordan's behavior became more erratic. He would disappear for hours without explanation, and when Tasha tried to confront him, he would get defensive and accuse her of not trusting him. One night, Tasha decided to confide in her best friend, Keisha. They met at a cozy cafe, and as Tasha poured out her heart, Keisha listened intently. "I don't know what to do, Keisha," Tasha said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I love Jordan, but something just doesn't feel right." Keisha reached across the table and took Tasha's hand. "You need to trust your instincts, Tasha. If something feels off, it probably is." Tasha nodded, but she still couldn't bring herself to believe that Jordan would betray her. He was her husband, the man she had vowed to spend the rest of her life with. How could he possibly be lying to her? One afternoon, Tasha decided to surprise Jordan at work. She had made his favorite lunch and wanted to drop it off at his office. But when she arrived, his secretary told her that Jordan had left early for the day. Confused, Tasha called Jordan's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. She decided to drive around, hoping to find him. As she passed by a nearby park, she saw Jordan's car parked near the entrance. Her heart raced as she pulled over and got out of the car. She walked into the park, her eyes scanning the area. And then she saw them. Jordan was sitting on a bench, his arm around Danielle. They were laughing, their heads close together. Tasha felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. She stood there, frozen, as the reality of what she was seeing sank in. Before she could react, Jordan leaned in and kissed Danielle. Tasha's world shattered. Tasha didn't remember how she got home. She sat on the couch, staring at the wall, her mind racing. How could Jordan do this to her? And with her own sister? The betrayal was too much to bear. When Jordan finally came home, he found Tasha sitting in the dark. He turned on the light and saw the look on her face. He knew immediately that she knew. "Tasha, I can explain," he began, but she cut him off. "Explain what, Jordan? How you've been lying to me? How you've been cheating on me with my sister?" Her voice was trembling with anger and hurt. Jordan sighed and sat down across from her. "It's not what you think, Tasha. Danielle and we just got caught up in the moment. It didn't mean anything." Tasha laughed bitterly. "Didn't mean anything? You're my husband, Jordan, and she's my sister. How could you do this to me?" Jordan looked down, unable to meet her eyes. "I'm sorry, Tasha, I never meant to hurt you." But his words were empty. The damage had been done. The next few days were a blur. Tasha moved out of the house and stayed with Keisha. She couldn't bear to be near Jordan or Danielle. The betrayal was too fresh, too painful. Danielle tried to reach out to Tasha, but she refused to answer her calls. How could she ever forgive her sister for what she had done? The bond they had shared was broken, and Tasha didn't know if it could ever be repaired. Jordan, on the other hand, was desperate to fix things. He showed up at Keisha's house, begging Tasha to give him another chance. But Tasha was done. She had given him her heart, and he had shattered it. "I can't do this anymore, Jordan," she said, her voice steady despite the pain. "You broke my trust, and I don't think I can ever get that back." Jordan looked at her, his eyes filled with regret. "I love you, Tasha. I made a mistake, but I love you." Tasha shook her head. "Love isn't enough, Jordan. Not after this." As the weeks turned into months, Tasha tried to move on with her life. She focused on her work and spent time with Keisha, who was her rock during this difficult time. But the pain of Jordan's betrayal never fully went away. Meanwhile, Jordan and Danielle continued their affair, seemingly without a care in the world. They were seen together at restaurants, clubs, and even family gatherings, flaunting their relationship in front of everyone. It was as if they had no shame, No remorse for what they had done to Tasha. One evening, Tasha received a call from her mother. "Tasha, you need to come home," her mother said, her voice trembling. "It's your father. He's had a heart attack." Tasha rushed to the hospital, her heart pounding with fear. When she arrived, she found her family gathered in the waiting room. Her father was in critical condition, and the doctors weren't sure if he would make it through the night. As Tasha sat by her father's bedside, holding his hand, she felt a wave of anger wash over her. How could Jordan and Danielle do this to her? How could they betray her in such a cruel and heartless way? In that moment, something inside Tasha snapped. She couldn't take it anymore. She couldn't keep living with the pain and the betrayal. She needed to make them pay. The next day, Tasha went to the house she had once shared with Jordan. She knew he would be there, and she knew Danielle would be with him. She had a plan, and she was determined to see it through. When Tasha arrived at the house, she found Jordan and Danielle in the living room, laughing and drinking wine. They didn't notice her at first, but when they did, their laughter died away. "Tasha," Jordan said, his voice filled with surprise, "what are you doing here?" Tasha didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out a gun and pointed it at them. Her hands were steady, her eyes cold and determined. "Tasha, please," Danielle begged, her voice trembling with fear. "Don't do this." But Tasha didn't listen. She pulled the trigger, and the sound of gunfire echoed through the house. When the police arrived, they found a scene of unimaginable horror. Jordan and Danielle lay dead on the floor, their bodies riddled with bullets. Tasha was sitting in the corner, the gun still in her hand, her eyes blank and empty. The news of the massacre spread quickly through the community, leaving everyone in shock. How could something so terrible happen to such a close-knit family? How could love and betrayal lead to such a violent end? Tasha was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder. During her trial, she showed no remorse for what she had done. She told the court that she had been pushed to her breaking point, that the pain and betrayal had been too much to bear. In the end, Tasha was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As she was led away in handcuffs, she looked at the courtroom one last time. Her family was there, their faces filled with grief and disbelief. Keisha was there too, tears streaming down her face. Tasha knew that she had destroyed her life, but she also knew that she had finally found peace. The pain and betrayal were gone, replaced by a cold, empty numbness. The story of Tasha, Jordan, and Danielle is a tragic reminder of the destructive power of betrayal. It's a story of love and loss, of pain and revenge, and of the choices we make when we're pushed to our limits. In the end, no one won. Tasha lost her freedom, Jordan and Danielle lost their lives, and their families were left to pick up the pieces. It's a story that will be remembered for years to come, a cautionary tale of what can happen when love turns to hate. Please subscribe for more. Thank you.